You just got hacked.
Oh! He needs some milk!
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Wednesday. That's right, it's hump day. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great week so far. Bitcoin not exactly having the greatest week. Still, unfortunately, falling lower and lower. You can see we basically were in this upwards trend. We tried to break out of this ascending wedge several times, but eventually we got rejected. We did fall down, and we do risk falling to the $7,100 level, which we really don't want Bitcoin to fall down to, because if we do, then we are basically no longer putting in higher lows, and we would be looking to go even lower. But I don't want to bum you out so early in the video. We do have a lot of other things to talk about. In fact, if you're just sick and tired of all of these Bitcoin price predictions, well, too bad, because I got one more for you. But this time, it's from Ross Ulbricht. If you guys aren't familiar, he was the founder of the now defunct Silk Road. We're actually going to talk about that, plus the fact that Mark Cuban, who basically says he'd rather take bananas over Bitcoin, actually came out and gave a bit of a mixed signal response to his current feelings on cryptocurrency. So if that sounds good to you, we're definitely going to talk about the Bitcoin price short term. We're definitely going to talk about these price predictions. I do have some other news as well. For example, from Italy, they are looking to basically wage the war on cash, make it a cashless society, or at least decrease cash usage. So what does that mean for Bitcoin? Well, that is all in store for you today. And if that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you are not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, we give away a Ledger Nano S every single Monday. All you got to do is drop a comment on literally any video throughout the course of the week, and you are eligible. Oh, and one more thing that could actually be problematical for Bitcoin. Yes, guys, we have yet another Ponzi that has been busted. So we're going to talk about that moving forward. 66.6% Bitcoin dominance. We are back below the $200 billion market cap. Having a look at the biggest gainers today. Mindle, I still don't know what the heck this project is, but it's up 22%. Waves, Engine, Fetch, Kyber, Enigma, Tezos, DigixDAO, Ravencoin, and Chiliz all having a nice bounce back today. We do have the shorts actually and longs relatively split down the middle today. Looks like it's a very indecisive market, slightly bullish over on BitMEX if you want to count this slight neutral buy, right? But talking about the volume, incredibly low, ridiculously low, and we know that when we get this very, very low volume, well, sometimes Bitcoin can have these massive movements. Now, just going over basically what we've been talking about, guys, we are being supported essentially by this trend line that held us right before the 50% drop that we had at the end of the 2018 bear market. Well, zooming in over here, this is essentially where we are sitting. You can see right here, this is basically our last line of defense. So what happens if Bitcoin falls below that? Well, essentially, guys, we are looking to be held by this legacy trend line. This is basically the most simplified I can make this chart for you right now. We are at the bottom. This is the very bottom. We are at the point where we're actually going to have to say this is no longer a bull market if we do fall below this line. So I am hoping that we get supported if we were to fall down straight today. That's around the $6,600 level. Now, there is that potential for the bounce back, right? We could have a dump, and then we could have a bounce all the way up to the top of the channel, right? Currently right here, you can see though that we did fall out of this sort of giant, I guess you can call it bear pennant, right? But we didn't have the dump just yet. So, should we maybe adjust our lines, down to here? Sure, we could do that. I mean, we still do have our 3 points of contact. So technically we didn't have the crazy dump, right? So if it was acting like a bear flag, we would have had a much bigger dump than just this little dip out of there, right? But there is that potential, like I said, that we do come down essentially to the bottom, right? We could come down here, retouch this level down here. Now, keep in mind that would fall below the purple line and put us about 6.4K. Keep in mind 6.3K Bitcoin is really sort of that absolute bottom before this whole market just sort of shifts its momentum to the absolute bearish basically momentum. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how else to word it, guys. But essentially right here, you can see that we have had this golden cross over here on the weekly. But the question is, how significant is it going to be this time? Now, we know in the past, it's done very well. You can see Crypto Bird points out right here, basically we have this crazy, pump, and it just goes for basically multiple years. But is it going to happen this time? The market is very, very different structurally, very, very different fundamentally. So is this actually going to signal the beginning this time? Because, having a look right here, we had a very bullish 2 weeks leading into it. As soon as we had the cross, we actually put in a red candle week so far. So will we be able to close this week out green, or basically do we need to just throw this out the window? Essentially is the question, but I'm going to show you my two most important lines to keep your eyes on, guys. And essentially, if we do fall below these, then I guess, I don't have to say it, but essentially it's not going to be looking too good for Bitcoin. Number one is the 200 daily here on the 3-day. I said this yesterday, meaning basically you could see it held us right here. Once we got below it, boom, we fell, got above it. It did act as support, and currently it still has acted as support, and that is sitting at around the $6,984 level. And number two is the 21 exponential on the monthly. This is considered a very important indicator, especially for traditional traders, okay? And once again, you can see that we did have those wicks back here. We fell below it and we dumped hard. And finally, once we got back above it, it did provide support. And currently, we tested it, literally touched down to the level. And that is where we wicked up from this recent price low. And that is sitting at around $7,120. So for me, those are the last lines of defense. Let me know what you think. But my goodness, guys, are we close to the line? We really are. And for everybody asking what I'm doing right now, am I trading? Am I selling? Well, pretty much this is what I think. At these levels right now, this is opportunistic time to dollar cost average. And I'll tell you what, if Bitcoin falls into the $6,000, I am going to start buying Bitcoin up like crazy, because this is that opportunity that we all wait for. Not financial advice, but you know how I feel about Bitcoin right now at these levels. Why even trade it? For me, this is just time for accumulation. But that's just what I'm doing. But let's talk about Ross Ulbricht. Now, you guys know he was the founder of the recently defunct Silk Road. He is saying that Bitcoin could shoot up to $100,000 potentially by the end of next year. By the way, that's double what I was saying we could potentially hit by the end of the year. So let's dive in and see how he does believe this is possible. Well, he claims that he has several Bitcoin charts that have been sent to him in prison. And basically, it takes about a week for him to put it together. So it might be slightly out of date. However, he states that it doesn't matter since he only focuses on the long-term macro. So essentially, let's pull this up and have a look. According to Ross Ulbricht, the overall trend for Bitcoin is still up despite the severe price correction. I agree. Logarithmically, we are indeed going up. The first cycle you can see is divided into 5 waves that also feature intermediate waves. The end of the fourth wave market the bottom of the 2014 to 2015 bear market, when the price of Bitcoin plunged to $175. My goodness, can you imagine that? Before gearing up for its parabolic run to 20K. Well, he basically says that if the $20,000 peak is the end of wave 3, then the correction pattern we are in, or just came out of, is wave 4, and we can expect us basically to go to wave 5 to take us to new all-time highs. Now, he did say there is an alternative scenario where the $20,000 peak was the end of the 5th wave, which means that Bitcoin could be correcting its entire move from the very beginning. However, if the 5th wave is still unfolding, the next bull run could last until February of 2021 and could ultimately take the price of Bitcoin to $100,000 as early as 2020, which is next year, which basically means roughly a year from now. Okay, so let me know what you think about that. Is that possible to go to some of those levels? Well, interestingly enough, you guys do know that Mark Cuban has been not so nice to Bitcoin, right? He compared it to bananas, right? In fact, he said he would prefer bananas over Bitcoin because at least he can eat the banana. Well, he recently had some comments published in Forbes, and basically it seems like he contradicted himself a little bit, because when asked whether or not Bitcoin could become a reliable financial instrument, he basically gave 2 differing responses. He said, not a chance, but then he added, actually, it's more of like a collectible. If you consider art or gold a viable, stable financial asset, then yes, Bitcoin could be. So he is kind of saying that Bitcoin could be a reliable store of value, right? Now, he also says that crypto is so complicated for 99% of the population. He goes, do you put it in a device? Do you print it out? How do you keep from being hacked? What's going to host it for you? What's going to host it for you? Oh, I don't know, Mark Cuban, the blockchain. Well, you know what? Maybe he might be right. There might be some lack of education. And I do believe that, maybe this holiday season when you do go and you see your family, maybe instead of pushing down their throats about how Bitcoin is, going to explode in price, maybe just educate them a little bit, Interestingly enough, though, the Dallas Mavericks do accept Bitcoin currently. He actually said that he decided to offer it again because the gateway became simpler, and he says if we have a customer that wants to buy with it, I'll take Bitcoin or bananas. That being said, guys, we do know what happened to the price of Bitcoin with the Plus token Ponzi, right? These guys are dumping, I think it's about 1,000 Bitcoin or something like that a day. Definitely hasn't been very good for the markets. Well, 5 men have now been charged in connection with what federal prosecutors called a lucrative cryptocurrency scheme that has fleeced investors out of $722 million in a business model that one of the defendants described as built on the backs of idiots. Yikes. Anyway, prosecutors allege that BitClub Network, apparently, which operated from, I feel like I've heard that name before, which operated from April 2014, essentially till now, was built on soliciting money from individuals in exchanges for shares of purported cryptocurrency mining pools and on rewarding investors for bringing in new clients. So essentially, it was a type of an MLM. But yeah, the question is now, what are they going to do with all this money? I mean, who has the money? Who's holding the funds, right? And are they going to dump these on the market as well? Obviously, I just heard about this today, so I don't have that answer for you guys. But if we do find out that these guys have a bunch of this Bitcoin tied up and they're going to just start dumping on the markets the same way that we saw the other guys dump from Plus token, well, that could just put even more selling pressure on the markets as well. But let me know what you guys think of that. On a little bit of a lighter note today, you had little-known UK crypto exchange Coinburp, even weirder, will be working with the UK homeless charity Centrepoint over the course of December to raise money for those sleeping rough over the holiday season. The 100,000 Crypto Challenge is the first of a series of events that they are holding together that lead up till Christmas. And if you guys don't know what that is, yes, essentially the CEO said, he said crypto 100,000 times, and you can watch the playback right here. Looks like a lot of fun, guys, huh? That being said, actually, if you are looking to donate to these guys, I will just drop these up here for a few seconds. So here's the Bitcoin address if you guys are interested. And there's the Ethereum address. So they are trying to do this for a good cause. So if you guys want to donate, man. And by the way, this stream, look at this, was almost 12 hours long, 11 hours and 55 minutes. Oh my goodness, I'd want to shoot myself. So that being said, be safe out there, guys. Also, KeepKey, which is a hardware wallet company, basically, they're saying that it can allegedly be compromised in only 15 minutes if a hacker does have physical access to it. So they did have a blog post. This is from Kraken Security Labs. They basically said that through something referred to as voltage glitching, they can essentially break into your KeepKey. So they estimate that a consumer-friendly device basically can do this and can be created with as little as $75 worth of parts, essentially. So in total, they noted that the attack does not require technical knowledge and, as I stated, can be done in 15 minutes. So it takes advantage of inherent flaws within the microcontroller that is used in the KeepKey. Most importantly, the research demonstrates that the security of a wallet like the KeepKey should not be solely based on the security of the, and then they go into some kind of a microchip. So what is my solution for this? Well, I think you guys already know what I'm going to say. Obviously, I hold ledgers. I use ledgers. We give away ledgers. Ledgers are my go-to hardware wallet. So yeah, I mean, if you're using a KeepKey, be safe out there. But if you are looking to get a ledger, well, you guys know what to do. Also, I do have links below if you're interested. Obviously, you don't have to use them, but it does help the channel out. Now, talking about some Bitcoin fundamentals, network mining fundamentals have continued to soften over the past month as several older ASIC miners have become unprofitable at the current difficulty and price levels. You guys can see right here, on-chain adoption metrics have decreased around 4% over the past week, with average transaction values down nearly 7%. Miner revenue and the number of Bitcoins created have, however, increased 12%, reflecting an increase in hash rate since the previous difficulty adjustment. But that being said, we do know that hash rate does look like it's kind of started to plateau a little bit. It hasn't gone down, but it's not exactly having an upwards trajectory anymore. So that is just something to keep in mind moving forward. Also do want to talk about Binance. They are exploring 18 different potential coins that they're looking to list on Binance US. Seller, Decred, Engine, Phantom, Icon, IOST, Komodo, Omizego, Harmony, Ontology, Ren, Status, Theta, Tomo Chain, Tron, Nem, Tezos, and Hedera Hashgraph. So there you go, guys. Also, don't forget, we do have the Binance vote, which I believe is ending today. It is the battle of the DAGs, Cody versus Veet. As you guys know, I'm not really very familiar with Cody. I am very familiar with Veet. In fact, they do have their own DAG-based DEX, decentralized exchange, which is pretty cool. I actually did a video a while ago showing you guys how to use that. So yeah, I mean, whoever you guys are interested in. For me personally, I'm voting for Veet just because, I don't really know Cody, and I also like the guys at Veet, and I do think what they're doing over there is really awesome. Also, we have blockchain analytics firm Ulbricht has built a solution for banks to help them decide which crypto exchanges to do business with. So Tom Robinson, co-founder and chief scientist, said at the moment, most banks cannot distinguish between compliant exchanges and those that pose money laundering or sanction risks. I don't think most of the retail can decide which one of these exchanges are actually compliant, right? Every exchange is shady. Every exchange is probably doing something that they shouldn't be doing in the background, right, guys? But that being said, I do want to end on one good, well, it's not really a good note, but you do have current officials over in Italy cracking down on cash usage. They're basically lowering the threshold from about 3,000 euros to 2,000 euros starting next year. And by 2022, they want that to go down to 1,000, ultimately hoping to eradicate cash altogether. So basically, in their movement to make Italy cashless, the new provision also included penalties of 30 euros for retailers who refuse to accept payments by credit or debit card. The motivation behind the newly adopted measure include well-known reasons like minimization of tax evasion and the abolishment of the informal economy. Essentially, they want to know absolutely everything that you're doing with your money, which is crazy, right? I mean, listen, I'm not saying that hey, if you got nothing to hide, right? Yeah, I understand. But at the same time, we do make personal purchases, right? And you don't want everybody to know everything that you do all the time necessarily. So once again, this just strengthens the case for Bitcoin moving forward. And I'm not sure why I had this chart here at the end of the video, but I think it was to point out that I think short term, we need to get above the $7,380 level, because that was where we had that previous resistance flip support. But that being said, guys, it is pretty sad looking for Bitcoin right now. We do risk potentially falling down to that $7,000 level. Anything could happen. They could, Bitcoin could pump out of left field. We could have a massive dump before the pump. Also keep in mind that Bitcoin has had really big pumps after massive dumps. So if we were to have a dump from this point, I would expect a subsequent bounce back. But that being said, guys, if we aren't able to start getting some kind of bullishness in these charts relatively soon, with the exception of, the weekly golden cross, then yeah, it's not looking too great. But like I said, guys, ultimate opportunity to be dollar cost averaging Bitcoin right now. So that being said, guys, that is it for me today. We are currently sitting at around the $7,200 level. Does look like we're coiling up, but that is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. It is an ugly, snowy day. Actually, it's the clouds are actually breaking. It's getting sunny, but we did get some snow again this morning. I did spend all morning shoveling my sidewalks, but what are you going to do? That's what happens when you live in wonderful New York. So that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. If you are interested in the Ledger Nano S, you can drop a comment and try to win one, or you can use the link below if you are so interested. But that is it for me today, guys. Thank you once again. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.